of any urban area, but then you have to maintain it. And so design, construction, as well as maintenance. So with that, and managing clients and working with the fellas and keeping them managed and making decisions related to issues that just pop up. Pipelines just decide to explode sometime, and so you just have to be ready with a solution, whether it's an engineering solution that has to be constructed. So I love it all. It's exciting, and it's just quite a rewarding area in which to be in.
Great. You're a mother too.
Yeah, the worker is there.
Yes, that's right. Great. Well, thank you. So Naomi and Jan both, it sounds like you both study in your field, in the fields that you're now in. And so I just wonder for everyone, but maybe for Beth and Gina, who may not have studied in the fields that you're in now, how did you find your way to where you are today? And then for everyone, are you doing the job that you thought you would do when you came out of school, whether you studied in that field or not? Or did you take some twists and turns to kind of get to where you are today?
I'm glad you asked that, because this week has been, that main question has been asked of me, whether it be from friends and family or coworkers. And knowing that college wasn't for me, I did get my degree in finance, and I went back, and I get bored a lot, so I went back for massage therapy, I went for graphic design. It was just whatever kind of interests me at that time. But I realized that every position I held, whether it be management and retail, whatever the case may be, it still had that one component, which was customer service. And I love giving people great, useful information. So I was in the hospitality business. I was a manager for overnight hotel. And I was going, I'm getting too old for this. I mean, really, like, as you get to a certain age, you're like, do I really want to be up all night? I am not 21 years old anymore. And, you know, I'm not out dancing. And I'm like, I'm at a hotel. I just can't do it. So I decided to get back to the daytime. And I applied with the state. And with the state, it's kind of funny because they don't list the actual position. They list it as a general category. So it was administration. I said, oh, well, maybe I'll sit at a desk for a few years before I retire, you know, take it easy. I get in there and they're like, oh, so what do you know about apprenticeship? And I'm going, that wasn't in the job description. But it was great for me because most of my family started out in the military. And when they came out, they're either firefighters, cops, construction workers, iron workers. They're in that traditional trade, and that's their career. So for me, I knew about apprenticeship on that side, so it was a plus for me. And I realized that the position I'm in and that I hold now, which I love, allows me to do exactly what all my other positions prepare me for, which is that core customer service. And I mean, I wouldn't trade it, because I'm in and out of the office. So it keeps me busy. It keeps my mind working, and I don't feel like I need something else. Like, oh, maybe I'll go back to school. So, you know, it's great for me. It works for my lifestyle. So.
Yeah, found the common thread.
Exactly. And my daughter's 25 now. So she sees me, and I'm showing her, like, listen, don't give up on what you're doing, but doesn't mean you can't explore other things. So it's kind of letting her know, like, I can do whatever I want. So, you know. Awesome to be able to do that for her. So.
Anyone else?
Well, when I started in college, I really knew I was good at math, and I couldn't figure out what I would do with it. This was very early 80s, and so computers were not what they are today. But the thing I have found, well, through college and then on, is that what I love most is teaching. Because I think I could teach almost any subject, but computers are really the exciting thing to teach because they change so fast. And how to get into this field has changed so much, you know, since then, that it's no longer a linear process, where I really think it was back in the early 80s, where there's so much training you can get in almost any different area of computing, and all of those jobs have openings,
Right.
you know, so encouraging people just to explore all the different ways to get into computing, I think is really important.
I think for me anyhow, some of what Jan said and Gina has said totally speaks to me, and some things that have kind of been a part of my journey. Like Gina, I'm totally like, I'm here, I'm there, I'm, in different places. So my degree, to go back to the college degree, I was a totally reluctant college student. I only went because my mother said, I don't want to work at GW forever. Please go to college so I can, not work here in a hospital anymore. So, I took some time off after high school, and really it was my mom saying, please, for goodness sakes, could you do this? So my degree was actually in music. It has obviously nothing to do with firefighting. And I really didn't know anything about fire rescue at all. Probably looked to maybe being a teacher. I don't really know what I thought I was going to do with it. And I was definitely one of those younger people who's like, I have no earthly idea. I don't know what speaks to me. I know I'm not an office person. I know I can't dress up every day. And it sounds a little dumb, but it was a very real thing for me. Like, I knew I could not, I grew up in DC, I just couldn't do it. Knew that wasn't going to be a part of who I was. So I came to fire rescue totally by accident, in that I had a good friend in college, and she and I sort of had a side career of house sitting for people. It was just one of those, let's get out of our parents' house and, do a little bit of that. And one day there was a collision in front of the house that we were house sitting at, and a young kid who was riding a bike got struck by a car, and pretty badly injured. And I knew nothing. Didn't even have first aid training, except for maybe like Girl Scouts in 7th grade or something. So I didn't have any real training. But when the crews showed up on the scene, I remember fairly vividly, I was knelt to the side of this little kid and, just sort of kind of trying to keep him calm, not really doing anything. And, the one guy came up to me from the fire department and said, do you know what happened? And I told him what happened, and he goes, are you an EMT? And I said, no. And he said, well, you should be. You're really good at this. Wow. And my friend Terry, who was with me, heard me. She's like, oh my gosh, he's totally right. You would be great at this. And it just, everything sort of kind of, it didn't, not immediately, obviously, because it took me a while to get there, but once I found it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally me. It's there's a lot of physicalness to the job, obviously. And again, for clarity's sake, in Montgomery County, there's no difference between what the men do and what the women do. We all do exactly the same job. The physical requirements are the same. The testing process is the same. There's no difference at all. But I know that, when I finally found it, I was like, this speaks to my physical need to be in motion. It speaks to sort of the intellectual and academic interest in problem solving, which I love problem solving. I think kind of that's a common theme for all of us here. We love problem solving, and problem solving, under the gun, in the heat of the moment, no pun intended, was really good. And the other thing that's just been, and Jan talked about, Gina, and customer service, and, too, and I think it's got to be true for Jan with her teaching and just the kids and everything, of, just interacting with other human beings, and, the ability to have, to just be a positive part of somebody's life, even in a moment, or, for them it's their crisis. Most of the time, really 90% of the time, we know it's not really a crisis, but that's okay, it's their crisis. And, the opportunity to be able to just have some positive interaction with somebody who's totally a stranger to you, and whether you're just simply sort of informal